33-year-old Kenshin Kawakami, 2-4. His ERA down to 5.79 because he had a good outing, as we said, against the Phillies. 6 innings, a 5-hit ball, gave up 2 runs, walked 4, struck out 6. There are his numbers for the year. He's allowed 5 home runs and a .285 batting average against him. The umpires for tonight's game, one of the best behind the plate, and that's Randy Marsh. He's also the crew chief for this group of 4. Mike Winters in his 20th year at first base, Lance Barksdale at second, and Alfonso Marquez umpires at third. And the Braves will continue to try to hand some misery to these Diamondbacks, Mark. They've lost 4 in a row. Diamondbacks just 13-23, have not played a lot of road games. They're 4-8 on the road, but under their new skipper, just 1 win since he took over May 9th.
Yeah, no doubt. And last in several categories in the National League, 232 batting average, 132 runs. Also last, 306 on base percentage. Well, we are ready to get underway. Felipe Lopez will lead it off, followed by Gerardo Parra and Justin Upton. By the way, nice to see you.
You too, Mark. Welcome back.
Always check Chip's travel agent, see when I'm going to be spending time with you. Kawakami winds up and delivers. First offering high, 1-0. You talked about, you touched on it in the open, Joe. The strikeout to walk thing is really what we want to watch with Kawakami, because basically 4-1 in his career in Japan, and not even 2-1 so far with the Braves. Shot at Escobar. Nice job on an in-between hop over to first, and we've got one down.
Outstanding play by Yunel, who continues to play stellar defense at shortstop. Here's the rest of the defense for the Braves. In back of Yunel in the outfield tonight, Anderson, Schaefer, and Francoeur. Joining Yunel on the left side of the diamond is Chipper Jones. Kelly Johnson's at second, Kochman at first, and Brian McCann doing the catching.
Well, already off to a better start than Vasquez was last night, because Lopez singled right up the middle, bat of an eye. That brings up Parra, guy that just called up recently from the minors. 361 at Double-A. Hit 400 this spring, though, so they were ready to get him up with the big league squad.
And he's hit at every level, all through the minor leagues. A career batting average in the minors of close to 320, and he can run a little bit too.
286 in his short time with the Diamondbacks. Grounds this one right side. Kochman up with it, flips to Kawakami. We've got 2 down.
If Kenshin is getting a lot of ground balls, that's a good thing. That's some late movement on his pitches. Maybe some guys rolling over the top of some good sinking action on his fastball. Those early home runs he gave up on top of the walks, that was not a good combination.
He's going to get an early test here for all the offensive woes that the Diamondbacks have been struggling through. Justin Upton is doing just fine, thank you very much. 304 average, 7 home runs, 19 RBIs. And he's what, like 17 years old?
It seems like it, yeah. Great talent. Great talented family.
A nice off-speed pitch to start him off with. Oh, yeah. BJ hit walk-off a couple nights ago, didn't he, for Tampa?
Played great for them in the postseason last year.
Starts him off 0-2. Yeah, the only number 1 and number 2 picks by brothers in Major League history.
Is that right?
Yep. I did a little bit of homework before joining you.
That's a good one.
Just misses outside there.
Kawakami's start before Philadelphia came against the Mets, and about midway through that start, he had an inning that overlapped into another inning where he fanned some guys in the middle of the Mets order that really seemed to give him some confidence and get him going.
1-2 pitch lifted to right center field. Schaefer and Francoeur going back. Neither one gets to it. Schaefer will get there first. Upton going for 3. The throw from Johnson not in time. Sliding in safely. Runner at third with 2 outs.
Not only did he put a great swing on this, but it was fun watching him go from home to third. On a pitch out away from him, he drives it hard into right center, and then the race is on. Hit second base in stride, and that pretty much took any possibility of an out at third base out of the equation.
Great angle as he rounded second, almost heading directly in a line for third base. And I had noticed just before he hit the ball, Schaefer was actually playing deeper than he usually does. So he definitely got all of that because Schaefer wasn't playing shallow. That brings up Stephen Drew. Drew 2 for 4 last night. And he lifts this high in the infield, just in foul territory. Kochman coming over. So no harm, no foul. A triple, but a man left. No runs across for the Diamondbacks. Braves coming to bat in the bottom of the first on Peachtree TV.
Chipper Jones has gotten hot his last 3 games, a homer, 3 RBIs, and over his last 10 games, a .333 average. He'll be followed by Garrett Anderson and Brian McCann. Casey Kochman hits 6th, bottom third of the order, Francoeur, Schaefer, and Kawakami. On the mound, Max Scherzer, a former first-round draft pick. In fact, in '07, a first-round draft pick by the D-backs out of Missouri. Big guy, 6'3", 215. A native of St. Louis, 24 years old, looking for his first major league win. He was 0-4 last year when they called him up, and he's 0-3 this year, although pitching in a bit of tough luck with a pretty good ERA.
His first offering misses outside. Yeah, he had a good ERA last year as well, 0-4, 3.41 as a starter. Actually had a 2.37 ERA when he came in relief. Misses outside again to Kelly Johnson.
He throws hard, as a mid-90s fastball, hard slider, and a changeup that acts kind of like a split finger pitch in the way it kind of sinks.
And to let folks know what kind of hype there was around Max Scherzer when he came up last year, all the Hansen hype that we've been hearing for the Braves, which started in spring training, very similar thing with Scherzer. A lot of high expectations for this guy. They expect him to be a frontline starter, maybe even an ace for them going forward.
Well, he was going to be a nice pairing with Webb and Herron, and it just, because of injuries, they really miss Brandon Webb. I know it doesn't help their offense, but they certainly miss him being on the disabled list. They're hoping to get him back before the All-Star break.
And you don't lose a guy like that without feeling it. It just has a ripple effect through the rotation. Lifted left side. Coming in is Eric Burns, getting the start tonight after he had a night off last night. Hauls it in, 1 down.
And here's the rest of the defense for the Diamondbacks, along with Burns in left field. The rest of the outfield has Parra in center tonight, Upton in right. Third to first, it'll be Reynolds and Drew, Lopez and Tracy. Tracy gets a start at first base. Snyder doing the catching.
And Yunel Escobar coming to the plate for the Braves. Had that game-winning RBI last night. This is the off-speed pitch. The thing I liked about the game-winning RBI, Joe, was the guy he drove in.
Jordan Schaefer led off that inning with a BB to right field. That was great to see. You're right, Mark.
Nice to see him getting it going. He's had a few good at-bats lately, and hopefully be able to start turning things around. Ripped right side and past the outstretched arm to Felipe Lopez for a base hit for Escobar.
Junell took a rare 0 for last night. Yeah, he got the game-winning RBI, but he was 0 for 4. And that was a mistake up. Looked like a fastball that was about a letter high, and Junell just leveled off on it.
And that brings up the new team leader, the new vocal leader, Chipper Jones.
The orator.
Do some public speaking classes. Takes the first pitch for a strike. You know, it was nice to see, though, after the road trip, that he kind of took that position. So we got to keep the intensity.
I've never seen that happen before in the Braves dugout by anybody, past or present. There might have been one or two or three guys having a quiet conversation, but I've never seen anyone on the team in uniform gather the group together as a teammate.
Kind of a college moment, isn't it? You know, you see college teams, the young, you know, you see that a lot there. You don't see it in the big leagues a lot.
Yeah, he wasn't saying let's go get them, boys.
Right, he wasn't rah-rah,
there was some finger pointing, you know, kind of like do your job.
1-1 the count to Chipper here. Again, Escobar at first, just one stolen base on the season for him. A modest lead at first base. Infield's back. 2-1.
In that game Wednesday in New York last night, the home run to left center, I don't remember how many times I've seen Chipper hit the ball harder right-handed than he had it over those two games. Tonight, of course, batting left-handed. But I mean, his right-handed swing has been dialed in for about a week.
Well, the positive thing is to just see him out there, too. I mean, we had the scare with the elbow, and, of course, he had the hand injury at the start of the season, and he can talk all he wants. They need him in the line.
No question.
Look at his numbers there, and you're going to see that first one ain't going to change a lot during the course of the season. 2-2 pitch. Misses. Go full.
Question still remains as we go along in the season, Mark, is whether or not teams will pitch to Chipper with guys on base, or whether they choose to pitch around him.
And we have seen him get a lot more pitches lately because of the fact of the guys who have gotten healthy behind him as well. We talk about the injuries for him. Important for him to have Brian McCann and Anderson behind him as well.
Let's see if Escobar's going here.
He indeed does. And a base hit into left for Chipper. Escobar will get into third easily. Chipper stops at first. Runners at the corner, one down for the Braves.
You don't want to get picked off here if you're Junell. You just want to make sure that you get a good jump. It's not a hit and run play. It's a full count and you're running on the pitch, and with Chipper never striking out much, it's a good call. And that came off his bat like a laser. You saw Eric Burns actually giving ground out in left field to make sure that ball didn't eat him up.
And that brings up the aforementioned Garrett Anderson. 1 for 4 last night, 233 on the season. A good RBI opportunity for him. All he's got to do is lift one, and we'll get one in. Anderson, of course, dealt with that calf issue at the beginning of the season, and another guy that you got to stay healthy. And him and McCann out at the same time. It was rough. 2-0.
Well, those leg injuries, the calf and the quad injury later on, have slowed him down. And you know, at his age, he's not as fast as he once was. So the one thing he wants to avoid here is a ground ball in the infield. That's exactly what they want, to have a chance for a double play to get out of the inning. Fly ball would be nice.
Take a walk, too. 3-0.
Walk to load him up wouldn't be bad either.
Brian McCann waiting on deck.
14 walks for Scherzer in 31 and 2/3. Now 32 innings.
And he started to walk down to first. Crowd not happy about the call, but it goes 3-1. Parra playing relatively deep in center field. And it is lifted, but back foul.
Chipper running on a 3-1 count.
Bobby Cox thinking about staying out of that double play as well.
If they put the steal sign on, Garrett Anderson wants to know. He was looking down at Brian Snitker because if he is running, you got to expand your strike zone just a little bit to make sure you don't take a called third strike here.
See if he goes again. He gets caught off first base. Pickoff move by Scherzer. They've got Chipper. Escobar thought about coming home. Now he's caught off third, and he is out. So it was a double play, but not the one we thought might happen. Chipper picked off first, then Escobar at third. The inning comes to an end without a run coming across. Another look. Chipper hung up, and then Escobar caught off third base, so the Braves
in HD. See every pitch, every hit, every run in beautiful high definition. Peachtree TV in HD can be found on Comcast Channel 802, Charter Channel 707, and DirecTV Channel 17. Check your local listings for other cable systems. The Braves play here on Peachtree TV in HD.
no runs, 1 hit, no errors for the D-backs. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for the Braves. But Joe, they don't mark it up as an error, but that was a rough end to the first inning for the Braves.
You know, it's that old fake to third pickoff move that everybody criticizes and says that never works. Well, guess who it worked on? The Braves veteran third baseman. And then Unell got hung up in no man's land, couldn't decide whether to run or go back to third.
Reynolds, Burns, and Tracy for the D-backs here in the second. We take another look here, and
yeah, you're allowed to do this.
Everybody boos. You always get boos from the crowd.
But here's Unell. He couldn't decide which way to go, and ultimately his decision to go halfway was the wrong one.
So Mark Reynolds leads it off in the second for the Diamondbacks. He rips that one into left center field. Not going to get to it. It'll roll to the wall. Schaefer over. It'll be a double easy. Reynolds standing up. The first runner on for the Diamondbacks here in the second.
He had a tough night last night. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. But didn't miss this one. It was left in the middle of the plate at 86 miles an hour. That's kind of a no man's land, that gray zone you don't want to be in. between about 82 and 88 and in the middle of the plate.
Well, his numbers aren't real good this year, but he had a career year last year, Reynolds, and a lot of guys on this team that aren't hitting well hit very well last season. It'd be interesting to see as the season goes along if they start to turn it around. One of those guys, Eric Burns, at the plate. He had the night off last night. I said career years, and he did not have a career year last year. He was injured a lot last year, but the year before, 07, his last full season, did very well.
These guys really strike out a lot. As a team last night, they had 12. That's 4 innings where they went without touching the baseball. But as a team, they strike out a ton, and Reynolds tied with Jordan Schaefer for the most strikeouts in the league at 45.
Imagine that is something the new manager will be working on with them, as we took a look at A.J. Hinch.
And likewise, their new hitting coach, Jack Howell.
2-0 offering to Burns. Swung and missed.
There was a story last night that we didn't see. I don't think it played out into anything real serious, but Doug Davis, the starting pitcher last night, was very upset that he was taken out of the game. He, in fact, was pinch hit for after pitching pretty well.
Another swing and a miss, 2-2.
But he apparently was very upset with his manager for taking him out of the game, and they had some words down in the tunnel out of view of the cameras. And then Davis went on today and was reported in the Arizona papers upset with Matt Williams, TV commentator for the Diamondbacks, about some comments he made. But the bottom line was Davis was his own worst enemy last night. He only gave up 2 runs, but a throwing error led to a lot of problems.
This one also into left center field. Almost a photocopy, except it checks up out there. Run will come in, though, and Burns will go into second. Back-to-back doubles, and the first run across for the D-backs. They lead it 1-0.
See where that pitch was after flailing on a couple of breaking balls. He just kind of dropped the bat down there, even took his hands down real low and raked that one.
The pitch was out of the strike zone. Down and got it, actually a bad ball. Took it into left center field. That brings up Chad Tracy, another guy that got a DNP last night. 200 on the season. First pitch to him over for a strike. Tracy hit .367 this spring. He swings through that one. Another one of the guys that has just struggled for the D.
Well, especially on the road. They've got some guys that aren't doing anything on the road. Granted, they've only played 12 games, and Tracy and Burns didn't play last night. But combined, those 2 guys coming into the game tonight, 2 for 49 on the road. Burns just got a base hit to help the cause, but that's miserable. Add Chris Young to that list. He's not playing tonight. He's 2 for 33. And combined now, those 3 guys, 5 for 83 on the road.
Good with the math. Very quick with those numbers.
That's not good. I know that's not good.
Yeah, that's rough. 1-2 pitch up the middle. Escobar handles it over to first. Got the first out as the runner advances to third.
I think .060, a batting average of .060. Dave, he's going to get it done.
He's going to give you more math credit there, and he gave it to Dave.
He's the calculator man over here.
Catcher Chris Snyder coming up to the plate. He had a 9-game hitting streak. It ended on May 10th. But his average just at .206. Tells you, coming off a 9-game hitting streak, how bad he was going. An opportunity for the D-backs if he can lift one into the air to get another run across. First offering up high.
Funny how the game turns on a squirrely play like the Braves turned in the bottom of the first inning, getting two guys hung up in a rundown and then picked off, all in the same play. And then the opponent comes back and puts a run on the board to try to take a little momentum. So it'd be really nice here if Kawakami can get a strikeout or keep the ball in the infield. And strikeouts, as we said, nothing new for Arizona. They're fourth in the league and having the fourth most strikeouts behind Florida, Milwaukee, and Washington.
The Braves don't want another run to come across. They've got the infield in. Chipper and Escobar back a little further on the left side of the infield, while Kochman and Kelly Johnson are in almost at the grass. Kochman just took a couple of steps back, but he will creep in as Kawakami goes into his delivery. 1-2 now to Snyder. So a little surprising they're playing in with one out here.
No, I don't think so. Not with the bottom of the order up there. Last night in the first inning, after the triple by Parra drove in a run, they played back. Upton hit a ground ball, and you conceded the run there. Had the middle of their order up. But I don't think in this situation it's unusual. No reason to just give them a run here.
The 1-2 offering from Kawakami.
What's wrong with that one?
Yeah, that looked good to me. Another look at it.
Let's see what Randy Marsh saw. Target was inside.
Down.
Yep, low.
You said he was good when the game started.
Yep, and one of the best. He's also one of those guys you can talk to. You know, if you dispute a call, you can ask him about it and not have him flip out on you.
The technical term. Breaking pitch lifted high to left field. Coming in is Anderson at the wall. Foul ball. He did not get it. Looked like he snapped the glove and got a hold of it.
Garrett stuck his glove in the crowd to try to catch it, but somebody beat him to it. Van did not interfere with it.
It looked, even on the replay, we just saw the ball squirt away there at the end. Burns heads up was tagging.
Well, he should have been, and when he saw that Garrett wasn't going to throw the ball, he decided to keep running in case he really did catch it.
Well, we'll do it again. 2-2, one down, runner at third. Already 1-0 Arizona. Long set from Kawakami as he misses away.
When he went into that real good inning or two against the Mets right before he came out of the game, last game of the homestand, and into Philadelphia, he was using his fastball more. Tonight we're seeing a lot more breaking balls. He threw 3 in that sequence to Burns before he hit the double, and a hanging breaking ball was hit foul just a minute ago by Snyder.
Well, that's a fastball, and that is lifted high to left field. Anderson under it. Burns tagging. He's going to go. The throw, not in time, and up the line. 2-0 Arizona. So the sacrifice fly from Snyder, and infield in didn't matter.
Braves fall behind 2-0 again. Good try here by Garrett Anderson. Strong throw, but off the mark, and Burns, as he so often does, sliding head first just about anywhere on the field.
That brings up the pitcher, Max Scherzer.
See him diving head first in the dugout sometimes.
No loss for energy for Eric Burns.
No.
Ask him, is it, one of those carbonated caffeine drinks? Does he go with the straight coffee?
Hard to say. That guy is nonstop movement.
By the way, Scherzer a 300 hitter for this D-back squad. I didn't bother to look. I don't know how many at bats that is. It's probably not many.
3 for 10.
There you go. Thank you. Quickly falls behind 0-2. fouls another one back. Crowd continuing to file in here at Turner Field. Turned out to be a great night for baseball. We're real worried about the weather. There was a big group of storms, or I don't know what they call them, cells, coming in about 4 o'clock, and they just dissipated as they approached the Atlanta area. There are some more, as you mentioned, back further, could come later tonight. So there's a breaking pitch.
Very good weather report there, Flip Fine.
Doing my best, Joe. Doing my best. Braves hope to do their best when they come up to the plate in the bottom of the second. They trail it 2-0. Trail it. Time for your Piedmont Hospital injury report. Get the perfect balance of health and care at Piedmont Hospital, the preferred healthcare provider of the Atlanta Braves. Visit PiedmontHospital.org. And Tom Glavine's still atop that list, Joe.
Well, Tommy's getting closer. Maybe by the end of the month he'll be ready to go on a rehab assignment. Getting closer and closer to being ready to pitch live action. Tim Hudson, I think his projected return is sometime in August. That would be a great addition to the ball club then. And Jorge Campillo's shoulder is doing pretty good. They're pretty excited about the prospects of him rejoining the active roster pretty soon, too.
Anderson was at the plate. Garrett Anderson at the plate after the double pickoff to end the first for the Braves, or during the double pickoff. So he comes back up to bat here in the second inning. 1-1 the count to him. And that one lifted into left field. What, is there like a magnet out there where all the balls are drawn to?
Yes.
Couple for the D-backs, and there goes one for Anderson. Runner on for the Braves.
I think on a cloudy night you'll see a lot of balls go that way, Mark. It's usually just a geometric thing because of the cloud cover.
Thanks for explaining this to the new guy.
Sure. Sunny days, a lot of stuff goes to right.
To right field, regardless of whether it's a right-handed or left-handed bat.
Fans, it's time for the know-how question of the game built by the Home Depot. And if you have a question, send us an email, and if chosen, we'll answer it later in the game. Send the email to braves@peachtreetv.com. Please tell us your name, where you're from. And remember that more saving, more doing. That's the power of Home Depot.
Question for the game was, is there a magnet out in left field? Right?
Mm-hmm. And there is.
Brian McCann at the plate. This one lifted high to center field. Going back is Parra at the wall, reaches up and hauls it in. A long fly ball out as Anderson retreats to first, one down.
I thought that was out of here. Not a whole lot of wind blowing tonight, but I thought he got this one. Sounded good, looked good, had good extension on it, but just a couple of feet short.
Big smile from Max Scherzer. He gets the first out. Brings up Casey Kochman. Kochman 0 for 4 last night.
.343 average over his last 10 games.
One misses away, 2-0.
Scherzer's got a good fastball, 93, 94, sometimes 95. It's not over the top. Gets a lot of late movement with that three-quarter action.
Hardly any lead at first by Anderson. That one fouled back. I really, you know, Mark Teixeira hit a home run today for the Yankees, who, by the way, won on a Alex Rodriguez home run this afternoon. But it's kind of fun to compare his numbers right now. Now he's got 8 home runs, but Kochman hitting about 70 points higher than he is.
And not unusual.
And 13 doubles to Teixeira's 5.
Not unusual for Teixeira to struggle first part of the year. Last year in April, he didn't do so well and kept saying that I'm never a good April hitter, and he was right, because his numbers steadily got better and better.
2-1 pitch misses away, 3-1. But for Braves fans who would have liked to have seen the Braves bring Teixeira back, certainly I think there were a lot of people who just didn't know Kochman's game, and
right.
What he does bring a lot to the table, and it's nice to see him showing it here.
And a very good defensive player.
Absolutely. Has not had an error since joining the Braves. That pitch misses, and he will trot down to first. 2-on again for the Braves here in the second. Brings up Jeff Francoeur, 1 for 3 for him last night. His average has dipped a little bit, got off to a hot start. Folks were, of course, happy to see that, but 6 for 33 on the recent road trip, average at 259 right now.
Still leading the team in RBIs, but he's gone into a drought, like you said, Mark. His last 10 games, just 8 for 40. And part of the reason for that is reverting back to some old habits of trying to pull the ball a little too much. Last night he got a base hit on a behind in the count, went the other way, got a single his first time up, which was a good sign for him.
A lot of talk about him swinging early in the count as well, but if guys are throwing you strikes, shouldn't you take a hack at it?
Especially with runners in scoring position, that's okay, but Jeff was very patient at the beginning of the year too.
That one driven down the right field line, hooking, foul.
And that's a good sign. Sliced that one down the line, fought it off a little bit, but a good sign again that he's keeping his hands inside the baseball. Target away, pitch rode up to the inner third, but he was thinking about going to right field all the way. Shame he didn't keep it fair.
The count 0-2. Anderson at second, Kochman at first. Takes it inside.
Batting 7th tonight, which is, he hasn't had that many at bats batting 7th, but that's way down the list almost for him by what he's accustomed to. And he's just 2 for 18 batting 7th.
One, two. Strike 3, called on the outside corner, 2 down. Look at it.
First strikeout for Scherzer. There's some of that late life on his fastball to the outside corner. Good pitch, no argument from Jeff. Francoeur's best numbers, 375 when he bats cleanup, 304 when he bats 6th.
And that brings up Jordan Schaefer with 2 down, still 2 on. To see him push one across here. Schaefer pulls it right side. Fielded cleanly by Tracy, and he pitches it over to Scherzer for the final out of the inning. So, 2 runners on, but none pushed across. Still 2-0 D-backs.
It's sponsored by Dr. Deborah Gray King and the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry. There they are, right behind the tarp, down the first base line. Great seats for them tonight. And the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry, the place in Atlanta to get a beautiful smile.
So there are 4 of them. I noticed JJ was handing the tickets out. He had 4 tickets and was giving them to 2 people. I thought, well, there's a deal. You got a lot of, not only you get better seats, but you get a lot of space. But apparently the husband and
the other 2 had run over to get a burger and a dog, and certainly not that wig.
Where'd we find this guy? Good crowd on hand. You're going to see a lot more kids now at the game as summer is upon us.
Yeah, a lot of graduations this weekend, I think, and even more next weekend.
My daughter graduates preschool.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
You got the dress.
I imagine you're probably like me and not a real big fan of the preschool graduations. My daughters I'm fine with, but the top of the order for the D-backs. Felipe Lopez leading it off, grounded out in his first at-bat, 1 for 4 last night. You know, a lot of concern from D-back fans when they didn't try to keep Orlando Hudson at second base, and Lopez has not been a problem for them offensively. He's doing just fine. 317 coming into the game, 314 after his ground out in the first inning. 1-2 pitch misses.
Made a couple of mistakes with breaking balls last inning. Hopefully he'll get that squared away here as the game moves along and can hold the Snakes right there. 2 runs shouldn't be enough to win tonight.
Even at 2-2. Infield straight away, outfield. Jordan Schaefer shifted a little towards left center. Bounced. Foul. Lopez with 15 multi-hit games this season for Arizona. That leads the team, as you might imagine.
He's a good offensive player. Talked about him last night and how they seem to have a wealth of middle infielders in Washington last year, but especially second basemen. So good for him that he got out of there to someplace where he could play.
Lifts one high to left center field. Schaefer going back at the wall, reaches out, won't get there. It's off the wall. Lopez trotting into second where he will stand with yet another double, third of the game for the D-backs.
Ball jumped off his bat, didn't it? Took a nice easy swing at this. Open stance, came right back to the pitch. That had too much of the plate. And Jordan Schaefer too far to go.
He gave it a run. I mentioned 3 doubles, and don't forget there was also a triple, so 4 extra base hits. We don't have an out yet in the third inning.
That wasn't a tooth he spit out, was it? He's holding his jaw funny. And just as we showed that.
Did we get a chiclet there?
I don't know. Just as we put the shot on it, I hope it was gum that left. That left the building.
Pitch gets away from McCann. Lopez goes to third. He goes
face first action there.
I think he got it turned sideways. Oh, looks a little groggy out there.
Yeah, he does. I'm serious. I hope that was gum he spit out.
We've got nobody down. Runner at third. Gerardo Parra at the plate. Grounded out his first time up. That one into center field. Schaefer's not going to get a break. He is running all over the place tonight. RBI single for Parra, and it is 3-0 Arizona.
Third RBI for Parra. Like I said, Kawakami's got to tighten things up here a little bit. Don't want to put too much pressure on the offense to have to score a ton of runs, and already trailing by 3. And Parra can run, so keep an eye on him.
He's definitely getting a healthy lead over at first base. Justin Upton at the plate now. First pitch to him misses. 1-0. Roger McDowell going to come out. Parra has not had a stolen base yet this season in Arizona, but he did have 7 at Double-A before he came up, and obviously not a lot of time down there, so he collected those 7 stolen bases relatively quickly.
Roger having a chat with Ken Sheen, and they are developing a pretty good dialogue about communication. So as they chat, let's take a look at the SunTrust Solid Performance, brought to you by SunTrust. Live solid, bank solid. And tonight's subject, the SunTrust leaderboard, is fewest home runs allowed by a pitching staff. The Atlanta Braves tied with the Dodgers for the fewest allowed at 25. Mets, Pirates, and Cardinals follow. It's pretty good work by the Braves pitching staff on the long balls.
Well, we know the Braves had brought the infield in before with the runner at third, wanting to keep this game close. They're not messing around with Kawakami either. Buddy Carlisle already warming up in the bullpen for Atlanta. Yeah, nobody down here in the top of the third. Already a run across. Gerardo Parra standing at first base. Justin Upton at the plate. Upton with the triple was stranded in the first.
Buddy getting ready in a hurry.
Definitely disappointing for Kawakami and all of the Braves that he did not have a better outing after back-to-back strong outings. Really kind of thought he was right in the ship, and love to see him get a double play ball here, maybe get out of the inning and give us a few more, but obviously not what we were expecting after his last 2 starts.
Remember, they skipped him a start in spring training, Mark, because of what they called a fatigued shoulder. They also moved him back in the regular season for the same reason. And his fastball tonight is topped out at 89, mostly around 86 to 88. And you just wonder if that shoulder's taking some heat off his fastball, because earlier in spring training and in the beginning of the season, he was 91, 92.
Well, I had done the game with you from before his first start and talked to some of the folks that covered Kawakami in Japan, and they said he never really dealt with injuries over there. He never had any arm problems, and he was a little uncomfortable about it because it was something new to him. 2 runners on after the walk, and Stephen Drew now coming to the plate. He popped up in his last at-bat.
Something kind of interesting about Stephen Drew, as I mentioned, we were doing the lineups, he always seems to come back home and tear the Braves up. His last 9 games coming into tonight against Atlanta, a .310 average, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 3 homers. But the oddity is only 3 RBIs, all 3 solo homers.
That one lifted high. It already popped out once. Now he has flied out as the busy Jordan Schaefer hauls one in. The busy, groggy Jordan Schaefer hauls one in. 1 down.
Still got his hat. He's fixing it a little bit. He had it cocked up there a little bit, like he was still a little woozy.
This looks like he's looking into the infield like, how about a strikeout? Give me a little breakout here, huh? Brings up Mark Reynolds. Doubled and scored his last at-bat. Again, I mentioned, it'd be bad to get a ground ball here and get out of this inning.
Or keep him from hitting it all together and strike him out.
Reynolds, one of the guys that had a career year last year for Arizona, 28 home runs, 97 RBIs, his first full season in the big leagues. 28 homers, good enough for 4th among National League third basemen. 97 RBIs, 5th.
Look how good those numbers might be if he cuts down on his strikeouts.
Well, and the thing about it is, you know, they had the strikeout issue last year as well, the D-backs, with a number of their players. But again, I think their thought process was these guys are going to get better, not worse. They're young. That's something they'll improve on. And obviously that hasn't been the case thus far this year. 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Roger McDowell looking on intently, hoping his starter can get out of this one here in the 3rd. Grounded left side foul.
Quick bat. I mean, he's got quick hands. Sometimes the thought process for Reynolds only involves long balls, but he has such a quick bat, there's no reason for him to think that way. The ball jumps off his bat without having to try to pull everything.
Tough situation for, sorry to interrupt you, for A.J. Hinch coming into this with this young group struggling as much as they have been. And well, that was about the strikeouts.
Yeah, and that's a follow-up I had for Davis a minute ago, too. You know, if Davis was upset with him taking him out of the game, well, then maybe Davis shouldn't have thrown the ball away when he booted that ball on the ground ball. If he's upset with Matt Williams, well, Matt Williams didn't throw the home run ball to Chipper Jones to put the Braves on top. So if you're looking for a scapegoat, it wasn't your manager, and it certainly wasn't the broadcaster of the game last night. So maybe the issue was Mr. Davis's and not the manager's. I don't envy. There's Matt, terrific third baseman, wonderful hitter throughout his major league career.
3-2 pitch. Swung on a miss, throw to 3rd. Strike him out, throw him out, inning over. Get out of the jam for Kenshin Kawakami. So just 1 run across for the D-backs after 2 hits and a man left. 3-0, Arizona. Tran Airways home run inning where one lucky fan will have the chance to win free airfare for 2 if the Braves hit a home run during this inning. Visit PeachtreeTV.com/Braves for official rules and enter for your chance to win. AirTran Airways, go. There is nothing stopping you. Kenshin Kawakami leading off the inning for the Atlanta Braves. Through the first offering as we take a look at Jordan Schaefer, head in hands in the dugout.
He's all right. Didn't appear to get any attention or need any in the dugout, but you know, we may want to take a look at that collision with the wall again. Sometimes you see those boxers just get clipped on the chin a little bit and they're out cold.
Rounded up the middle. Scherzer fields it easily and over to first for the first out. Almost looks like a quarterback that got his bell rung, got hit hard on a sack. Just keeps opening his eyes wide as if to try and clear his head.
Here's that collision again. Had his head up, face first into the wall, and that jolt as he hit the wall just kind of clipped his jaw a little bit. And now talking to Jim Lovell.
What day is it? When's your birthday? He's still not happy. No question about it. Obviously, though, the way that conversation is going, it thankfully doesn't look like anything too serious.
I don't know. I've never seen him. You know, this was right after it happened, and rubbing his eye a little bit. I think he took a pretty good shot, Mark, and I don't know that I've seen him with that kind of grimace on his face, even when he's had a bad game offensively, where he's been kind of squinty-eyed and trying to focus.
You know, the wall is padded, but you wonder if there are areas as Kelly Johnson swings through strike three, and we've got two down. There are areas where that wall is supported where it is harder, because it almost looked like he wiped his brow looking for blood as if he had hit something hard, not just as though his bell was wrong. When we're looking at the replay there, he kind of wiped at his eye and looked at his hand to see if he had gotten a cut. So he might have hit a hard part of the wall back out there. Looks a little better there, like he might be clearing. Much like the sky above Turner Field.
Yes, there you go. Wonderful. First skies.
First pitch to Escobar over for a strike. Two down now. As we discussed the bell ringing of Jordan Schaefer, Kelly Johnson came and went. Check swing foul.
Scherzer pitched 2 games against Atlanta last year after he got called up from Tucson, but it was all in relief. And 3 2/3 innings, he didn't give up a run. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts.
I mentioned his ERA in relief last season, 2.37, so it wasn't just Atlanta he did well against coming out of the bullpen. 1-2 now.
He's got a great delivery. He's got excellent balance. Still working on that changeup, because in the past and in college everything was all power. A real live arm.
Yeah, the power right there as Yunel Escobar swings through it. Nothing doing for the Braves in the third. This has been the Airtran Airways home run inning of the game. Back at Turner Field after this timeout.
He's given up 5 hits. 4 of them are extra base hits. But take a look at the location of these pitches, and all you have to do is look to the middle of the plate. Virtually all of them are about belt high between the belt and the knees in the center of the plate. The only one that's an exception is this one that Burns went down and got, but it had a lot of the plate. There's not much to the corners, and in this league, you cannot live in the middle of home plate, up or down or all around. If it's in the middle of the plate, you're in danger.
And it will be Burns who leads things off for the Diamondbacks here in the 4th inning. That shot he had was a double. He fouls this one back. So we saw Roger McDowell go out and have a visit there with him last inning. What does he say to him? I mean, what do you say to a guy who's just missing his spots?
Well, it'd have to be in Japanese, whatever it is.
Right.
But seriously, trying to work on something, find out what's working. And if you're trying to use all your pitches and the same one keeps getting hit, then move it around. More than anything else, I would hope he would convey, stay out of the middle lane. Work to the corners a little better. Maybe ask Brian McCann what is working, and let's stick with that.
And he can speak in English to McCann as well.
Yep.
To make things a little easier. 69-mile-an-hour breaking pitch. Burns swung through there, so he gets ahead of Eric here 0-2. And who knows, you know, maybe that strike him out, throw him out, help him out a little bit, and get him going as Burns looks at strike 3 here and quickly 1 down in the 4th.
And remember, this is a big strikeout team, and that's only the 3rd for him so far, but a good start to the 4th inning. Time for tonight's Toyota Tacoma trivia question. The truck is on the way. There it is. Since 1955, other than Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling, who has been named World Series co-MVPs?
Wow. Since 55.
Huh. Well, 55, that would have been, I think that would have been Brooklyn and the Yankees, if you want to go back that far. Is it just one pair, or have there been others? Mr. Question Maker.
I was going to say, you're not
one
asking
pair.
Me. One pair, all right. I'm gotta guess a Yankee, like Mantle and somebody.
You know what? There's something that tells me Willie Stargell's involved, and another one tells me Keith Hernandez is involved.
0-2 offering to Chad Tracy, misses outside. Tracy grounded out his last time up.
I think when the Mets won it against the Red Sox, I think Ray Knight won it that year, so I don't think that was co-MVPs.
Where'd you pull those two names out of?
Just.
You peeking over there to your right?
No.
Schaefer looking fine there, by the way.
I don't have anything to peek at. It's not Dave's question, so it came from the truck.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know, something about a Willie Stargell
Madlock?
Bill Madlock combination or a Phil Garner combination.
So the We Are family, you're thinking that.
That's what I'm thinking. 79?
79 Pirates. Steve Nicosia?
Probably, yeah.
Probably wasn't the MVP.
He's got a ring, though.
Chris Snyder at the plate. Obscure catchers for 500, Alex?
Yes.
As Chris Snyder comes to the plate. Nicosia, for those who don't know, was a platoon or part-time catcher for the Pirates in that 79 season.
I don't know why I'm drawn to them.
I'll buy. I'm buying. I'll be honest. I'm going to go with the Yankee. Lifted to center field. Schaefer, no rest for the weary. Hauls it in, but the good news, a quick inning for Kenshin Kawakami. 3 up, 3 down. We head to the 5th, or bottom of the 4th. I'm sorry, 3-0, Arizona.
Oklahoma trivia question.
I'm going to go Marison Mantle.
Marison Mantle, since '55, other than Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling, the only other World Series co-MVPs were. Wow, a threesome in '81. Pedro Guerrero and Steve Yeager. That's a tough one.
Three good names. By the way, Randy Johnson mentioned there, he took the loss against the Mets today as Chip Jones grounds out on his first offering and went down here in the bottom of the fourth. Johnson beat up as he continues to pursue win number 300.
Well, he's also etched in history here in this ballpark. Today's the 16th. On May 18th of 2004, just 2 days from now, an anniversary, 5th year anniversary of his perfect game pitched here while with the Snakes.
Anderson comes to the plate. I remember the game well. It's my first season here in Atlanta. Rough night for the Braves, obviously, but always interesting to watch history.
Braves slowed down that Mets team, winning 2 out of 3. Could easily, with any kind of break, would have won all 3 games up in New York. But the Mets have gone out to San Francisco and worked the Giants over, including last night coming from behind to beat the Giants, who had Tim Lincecum on the mound. I think the lead was 4-1 or 5-1, something like that. The Mets still came back and won.
Interesting side note to that game. You know, Johan Santana was on the mound for the Mets, and we saw how the Braves had some success against him. Give up 4 earned runs, 6 total, and 7 innings of work for Santana. So suddenly Santana looking human. Ball 4. Garrett Anderson tracks down to first with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Bring up Brian McCann. Second walk of the game for Scherzer.
Brian McCann tearing up right-handed hitters for the year. Coming into the game tonight, and he almost hit 1 out his first time up. Leading the team in hitting at 382, 13 for 34. But against lefties, he's at the bottom of the list. Among hitters, he's just 5 for 32, a 156 average against lefties, and that's unusual for him.
Swings through the first offering. 9 for 22 now since returning from the DL with the eye issues.
That's good work. Well, his mind's been put at ease thanks to those specs.
Along with about 30,000 other people's minds in this building tonight.
Right.
I mean, that was a big deal when he came back, waiting to see how he was going to adjust to glasses. That's not an easy thing to, and we didn't know if it was going to work because so many other things hadn't worked for him as far as the contacts, etc.
He was anxious to find out himself. He was very, and anxious is a good word, I think, very anxious about the whole ordeal.
Anxious is a good. I spoke with him on the field during batting practice before he was officially back, and I asked him how they were. They're fine. They're going to be fine. But when he kept saying they're fine, but you could tell he wasn't sure yet, and he was nervous about it.
He was putting on a good face.
And I played with the glasses as a young high school punk. And I was as bad as I was with the glasses. Imagine how I was with them. But back then there was a big issue with glare, and especially at night with lights, you'd see lines out of the glasses. And I asked him about that. Of course, now they have a lot of things they can do with kind of a film and cover over the glasses at night. 2 lines, another one foul.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue was when he was trying to catch with them, and they were fogging up inside the mask. So
Is that New York or Philadelphia? I remember that happening.
Philadelphia, I think.
Yeah.
I believe that's right. It's rather cool. And when he got warm and sweaty, the glasses would fog up.
Well, I played Played my high school ball in Miami, so the humidity there, imagine
big problem.
We walk out of an air-conditioned car, suddenly need a cane. Runner on, one down, bottom of the fourth. Braves trail at 3-0. Ground ball, right side, picked up niftily by Tracy over to second for one, and they turn the double play. McCann not getting down the line quick enough. So as quick as it looked like the Braves might get something going, they turned the double play and nothing doing here in the fourth. 3-0. Arizona still leads.
Five straight years. Check into Jameson Inns and experience our new Philotop Dreamy events and the best in Southern hospitality. Jameson Inns, you deserve a new deal.
Pull up a chair. 3-0. D-backs lead it as we head to the fifth inning of play. Braves might be number one, but right now they trail it here in game 2 of the series with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mark Fine and Joe Simpson with you, along with we got about 30,000 of our friends. Kenshin Kawakami remains on the mound for the Braves as he tries to turn things around. 3 up and 3 down in the fourth for him. And the pitcher, Max Scherzer, to lead things off for Arizona here in the fifth.
Four in a row set down by, make it 5 in a row set down by Kawakami, including a couple of strikeouts.
And Jordan Schaefer remaining on his toes because the other 3 were fly outs to center field. Busy night for Mr. Schaefer. Expecting the pitcher Scherzer to be behind Kawakami. Shifts over to the right. And ground ball to the right side. Kelly Johnson just to the right side of the second base bag. Fields it cleanly and makes the play. 1 down. That'll bring up the top of the lineup. Felipe Lopez, who doubled and scored in his last at-bat. Grounded out his first time up. Was 1 for 4 yesterday. Chipper Jones comes in on the grass at third for Lopez. Breaking ball stays upstairs.
This may turn out to be the biggest acquisition of the year for Arizona, the way Lopez is playing right now. Doing the job for him at the top of the order, so Chris Young doesn't have to bat leadoff. Chris Young, with all his strikeouts, not the most ideal leadoff guy.
And that's another one of those, kind of compared to the Kochman-Teixeira thing we were talking about earlier. Hudson was a guy that, of course, Diamondback fans love, but they pick up a guy in Lopez who has done a more than admirable job replacing him. There are a few of those like that. You know which one really stood out to me? We talk about the Phillies. As they're playing a doubleheader today, they had Pat Burrell, and Raul Ibanez is the guy they pick up to replace him, and it ain't even close. Ibanez is a Triple Crown contender, and Burrell in Tampa's hitting like 250 with 1 home run.
Ibanez hit 2 more homers today. He's got 12. He beat the Nats 8-5.
3-1 pitch fouled back. The count will go full. Yeah, doubleheader, so probably back at it as we speak.
Is that a double dip tonight?
Yep.
Yep. Phillies up 3-2 in the 5th of that game.
Chipper backs up 2 strikes on Lopez now. Fouled back again.
Ryan Howard's hit his 8th in that game for Philadelphia. But Scherzer's the story tonight. A 3-hit shutout working through 4 innings. And he's got 3 runs to work with. Looking for his first major league win.
(3-2) from Kawakami. Swung on a missed. Make it 6 in a row.
Let's check out the location of that one. Lopez had spoiled a couple of pretty good pitches, but he couldn't reach this one. And off the plate, maybe right at the corner, pitching away from the center of the plate, resulted in a good pitch and a good out.
4 strikeouts in the game now for Kawakami. As Gerardo Parra comes to the plate, singled his last time up. Caught stealing. Grounds it right side. Kelly Johnson up with it. And again, 3 up, 3 down for Kawakami as he has definitely settled down. We'll see if the Braves can get some runs on the board now. 3-0. Arizona still leads it.
First ever Beats and Bases, and I'm telling you, it is a party you do not want to miss. Starting when the gates open, you can find me, JJ, on top of the Chop House, where I will play host to live music and entertainment. Plus, don't miss your chance to walk away with great Peachtree TV prizes. Now, I'm telling you, this is one party you and your friends do not want to miss. It is the Peachtree TV Beats and Bases right here at the Chop House at Turner Field next Friday. Don't you dare miss it.
I don't think we want to miss it.
More pitches.
1-1 now to Casey Kochman. So who's got more energy, Eric Burns or JJ?
That's a toss up there.
Toss up there.
Beats and bases.
Grounded right side by Kochman. 1 down.
Scherzer pitched in 16 games last year. 7 of them were starts. This year he's made 6 starts and still looking for his first win. As we pointed out at the beginning of the game, his numbers aren't that bad. A 3.05 ERA last year. And there's his career starts as numbers as a starter with a 3.39 ERA.
Jeff Francoeur takes the first start. Yeah, more I guess kind of a pitching anomaly for a guy to do that well and not get a win. Just hasn't gotten any support. Go too quickly to Francoeur. He's given them everything they expected. I always looked at ERA as the best judge of a pitcher. You know, you get to the end of the year, people start talking Cy Young. They want 20 wins. To me, how many runs do you give up per game is always more important. Grounded again, right side again. Lopez up with it, 2 down.
Let me give you some examples. Second start of the year at San Francisco, he got beat 2-0. Third start of the year against San Francisco, he got beat 5-3. His 5th start of the year against the Dodgers, he got beat 3-1. And in a game against Milwaukee, he went 6 innings and gave up no runs. And the team eventually, he got a no decision. Team eventually lost 4-1. So he has not had any run support and no luck.
Little luck here tonight and a lot of skill, as he has only given up 3 hits and nary a run. Jordan Schaefer comes to the plate with 2 down here in the 5th. Taking a look into Jordan's eyes there. He looks a little more alert. Takes that one down in the dirt.
Yeah, he survived what inning was that? A 3rd inning knockdown, but answered the bell.
Center field wall, meet Mr. Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer, center field wall.
Greg Norton has a bat on deck. He would hit for Kawakami if Schaefer reaches.
James Parr warming up in the bullpen for the Braves.
Cut. He just joined us. He's trying to track down a long drive into left center field off the bat of Lopez. And right here, face first into the side of the wall. It didn't look like much, but a little groggy after that.
Couple of ibuprofen. An inning later, you're fine. 3-2 to him now. Takes it outside, ball 4. So he grounded out his first at bat. Now a runner aboard for the Braves, as Joe mentioned. Greg Norton coming to the plate for Atlanta.
It's a 25th walk for Jordan Schaefer. That's the most on the team. 2 more than Chipper Jones. And 6 of Chipper's have been intentional.
Schaefer a modest lead at first. First offering to Norton. Over for a strike. 5 innings for Kawakami. Gave up 3 runs on 5 hits, all of them earned. Struck out 4 and walked 1.
Yeah, just 1 walk. That's good.
Well, there's that 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio we're looking for, at least.
Yeah.
Again, I think the positive you take out of this for him is that he was really struggling, giving up those 4 extra base hits before he settled down. Tired the last 8 batters he faced after the lone walk. Norton takes outside, 2-1.
George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts. Ocean's 11, Sunday at 8 on Peachtree TV.
I love that movie. The guy's watching the game from a strange vantage point, wasn't he? Telescope in hand.
I thought you were talking about the guy in the movie. Fouled off left side. Big fan of that film as well. Did you see the original?
I've seen parts of it.
Not that good.
Very overacted.
One of the rare occasions when the remake is better than the original.
Yeah.
Another foul ball. Good at bat for Norton here as he's making Scherzer work. 76 pitches in the game for Scherzer now. 48 strikes, 28 balls. You mentioned he has been very effective. The walk to Schaefer was his third of the game.
Let's see if Norton can make that pay off.
Hard foul right side.
I'm a little surprised at the way they're defending him in the outfield. They're playing Greg way over toward left center, and left-handed especially. He's more of a pull hitter. So there's a ton of room out here in right center field.
And Burns shifting towards the line and left as well. The 2-2 pitch. Do it again. Somebody show a little chink in the armor here. Get things going.
Well, with Jordan's speed, a gapper would score him.
Went around. That's going to do it. So Scherzer works out of trouble. The one walk, one man left, 3-0. Arizona leads it as we head to the 6th.
Braves are on an extended homestand. We hope you'll make your plans to be with us out here at the ballpark. But if you can't, tomorrow's game will be on Fox Sports South beginning at 1:30. John Shambi and I will have that for you. Chip Carey will be back Monday and Tuesday as the Braves take on the Colorado Rockies. 7 o'clock start on both of those games. And then also, as the Rockies series continues Wednesday and Thursday, those games will be on Sports South. Those are 7:10 starts, airtime 7 o'clock. Likewise for those with a pregame show at 6:30. Hope you'll make your plans to be with us.
A nifty little 10-game homestand for the Atlanta Braves. As Chipper mentioned, if they can bring the same intensity to the game at home, it'll be just fine. James Parr coming to the mound for the Braves in relief of Kenshin Kawakami.
James has pitched well. I like his work. I like the way he goes about his business. He just pounds the strike zone and has good enough stuff to challenge you.
Face Upton, Drew, and Reynolds here in the 6th. Upton walked his last time up, tripled in the 1st, and was stranded. Park quickly ahead 0-2.
I remember last year he started his big league career with 14 1/3 straight shutout innings. Won his major league debut in September against Washington. Beat him 2-0.
He's allowed just 1 run in his last 4 appearances over 6 innings of work. A 1.50 ERA. Opponents batting .225 against him. Grounded right side. Now Kelly Johnson's the one who's busy. Over the first one down.
Oh, he had to hurry too. Upton can move. James Parr will be joined by another Gwinnett starting pitcher beginning Tuesdays. Chris Medlin will join the ball club. He'll take the start that was scheduled to be JoJo Reyes. Reyes will move to the bullpen, and Medlin will move in, and somebody will move out.
We don't know who that is yet, but we do know that it's pretty exciting for Braves fans, the young pitching talent that they've got waiting in the wings.
Great numbers for him at the start of the year. 10 walks against 44 strikeouts too. And you know, the scuttle was that the Braves weren't going to call up Tommy Hanson until some special day in June to avoid Hanson becoming eligible to be a Super 2, meaning eligible for arbitration after 2 years. Well, you know what? Chris Medlin could be that guy. So they weren't shy about bringing Medlin up, and if he pitches great, he could be a Super 2. So I think that kind of puts that theory to rest too.
Yeah, because it could have easily been Hanson. It's just nobody thought that he'd get out-pitched in Gwinnett. And he's pitching very well, by the way. 1.99 ERA for him. Hasn't had the wins, but it's not his fault. He's doing an outstanding job in Gwinnett as well. It's just Medlin's been better.
Well, Bobby Cox really raved about Medlin in spring training too.
2-1 pitch fouled back, so the count goes even at 2-2. Again, you look at Jair Jurgens and the job that he has done. It's very easy for people to forget about that guy you mentioned earlier who could be back in August as well, and Tim Hudson. I mean, there is a load of pitching talent on the Braves squad currently and waiting to come up as well. A lot of people ready to draw comparisons to the triumvirate of future Hall of Famers. Ground ball, left side this time. Escobar waits, boots it, picks it to first, not in time. That'll be E6. He is not happy with this.
It was a squibber. There have been a couple of balls hit to him off the end of the bat lately that he's played perfectly because he had to wait for them. This was hit right off the end of Drew's bat. It started spinning, and right there, just spun right off the fingers of his glove.
I think that first hop kind of checked up on him. I think he stayed back thinking it was going to get to him quicker than it did. And by the time he noticed it slowed down, too late to charge it at that point, and he had to wait and just obviously did not get it clean.
Only his 3rd error.
That brings up Mark Reynolds. Struck out his last time out, doubled and scored in the 2nd. Drew without a stolen base yet this season, standing at first. That one misses. 1-1.
Mark Reynolds with a strikeout tonight gives him 46. Through 36 games last year, through 36 games, he had 52 strikeouts. Through 36 coming into tonight's game, he struck out 46 times. So a little improvement.
You almost don't want to call it improvement. Wow.
But still a ton of strikeouts.
There's a strike from Parr. 1-2. I think what you say there is he hasn't shown improvement. You would hope over that stretch after getting a full season in, and that a young player would improve as far as the strikeouts are concerned, and obviously he has.
We'll see if that improvement extends to the end of the year. That was a rash of them last year for him.
You want to talk about
204 times.
Looking back at this time last year, Diamondbacks came into the game 13-23. This time last year, 23-13. Swing and a miss. So what is that, 47 now? You got the strikeout 47. Counter, right?
47.
2 down for the Braves here in the 6th.
Shows you some of James Parra ability too. He went upstairs with his pitch, fastball, and got him to chase it up and out of the zone. First strikeout for James tonight. And were it not for the error, would have had a 1-2-3 inning.
And that'll bring up Eric Burns, who last time up struck out.
Well, anytime you play the Arizona Diamondbacks, anytime they're in town, if you get seats down near the field, you're going to be cooled off on a hot night.
Wow.
You're going to get some breezes.
And the few Diamondback fans who might be out there would probably be pointing to the scoreboard for us right now, right?
That's okay. It's only the 6th.
That's right.
But
we got time.
You're right about their team last year. They started off like a house of fire, and something happened. They started really going backwards in June. Things fell apart.
And there was some speculation that, when Doug Melvin was relieved of his duty, that part of the reason was not just this season, but the way they finished last season. A lot of folks seem to think that it wasn't the Dodgers that won that division, but the fact that the Diamondbacks blew it, quite frankly. And he might have kind of been on the hot seat as soon as the season started. And certainly the Diamondbacks as a team didn't give any reason to have confidence in Melvin going forward.
They only finished 2 games back of the Dodgers. 2 games finished 2 games over 500. So despite a poor finish, might be some people thought that was a quick trigger to yank him out of the managerial seat this year.
Escobar with a chance to redeem himself, and he hauls it in short left field to retire to the side. So no runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left. We head to the bottom of the 6th, 3-0 Arizona.
By authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
Back at Turner Field, where the Arizona Diamondbacks lead the Atlanta Braves 3-0. Heading into the bottom of the 6th inning of play, Kelly Johnson, Yunel Escobar, and Chipper Jones do at the plate for Atlanta. This inning's pitch speed brought to you by Bear Advanced. Bear Advanced, better science, better results. Exactly what we're hoping for out of the Braves offense this inning. As it is 2-0 to Kelly Johnson on the 83-mile-an-hour Bear pitch speed off speed pitch. Lifted to right, and slight stutter step for Upton before he gets under it and hauls it in right field. One down.
Ball might have been knuckling on him.
Yeah. It's hit hard.
Kelly's number in the leadoff spot before that at bat, only a .205 average. Batting first in the Braves order with 13 strikeouts against 7 walks. Omar Infante's been leading off a lot lately, especially against left-handed pitchers. That ball was stung.
Escobar takes the first pitch. For a ball. 1-0. Singled in his first at bat. Yunel having a rough night. Picked off third in that first inning where it looked like the Braves might get something going right away. Had that error. Of course, it didn't lead to a run, fortunately, for the Braves in the last half. But uncharacteristic for Yunel Escobar on both counts. One and two.
Defensively, I'd agree with you.
Base running, not so much.
Base running sometimes can be an adventure for Yunel, but it's always in an aggressive mode.
So he's not shy on the base pass, but at times to his detriment.
Kind of a run till they tag you thing.
They shade him a little bit towards right center. Gerardo Parra. Home plate umpire Randy Marsh caught that one. Escobar quickly over and is calling for a trainer.
I don't know where that got him.
It looked like it knocked his mask off. Let's take a look at it.
Been around a long time. He's been rocked by a lot of foul balls, but right in the face. The concussion of that has got to be unbelievable, but fortunately it did catch the mask flush. Umpires around baseball, a lot of them in recent years, Mark, have been forced to retire because of neck injuries because of that type of foul
like
tip.
That,
yes.
Yeah. When you've got the mask, so prevent
all kinds of neck disc problems from having their head snap back from those foul balls.
And it's got to hurt the bones in the face too, because you get the impact of that mask now against the face. Obviously you prevent the ball from hitting you flush, but you can see it working the jaw a little bit. It was a foul ball. Count still 1-2 to Escobar with one down here in the bottom of the sixth.
Jordan Schaefer can commiserate.
One of those nights. Some strange goings on. Looking for the moon, see if it's full. Count still 1-2 to Escobar. Down the left field line. That is going to fall in for extra bases. Escobar in easily to second. And the Braves with a runner in scoring position here in the sixth.
One of the few mistakes Scherzer's made all night. And again, at this level, you don't get away with anything. That target was down and away, and the pitch turned over and was kind of coming back in, almost like a backup slider. And it came right back to Yunel. And as we've said before, he thinks about right center when he's hitting, but if you make a mistake, he can still turn on the ball, and did on that occasion. And he's in scoring position for Chipper.
A little something off the pitch, and it was almost in off the plate, and he just turned on it and yanked it down the left field line. First pitch to Chipper away. Chipper grounded out his last time up. Singled in the first.
Got that one in on him a little bit.
Yeah, Chipper with the home run last night. 4 on the season now. 14 RBI. The 1-1 offering.
Here's one of those at-bats where, to this stage of the season, Chipper Jones has not gotten much to hit. And I know that if you walk him, you bring the tying run to the plate. But teams, most of this season, won't give him a chance to drive in a run.
Off speed. Swung through it. 84 miles an hour.
Good pitch.
Very good pitch.
Took a lot off his motion, too. That's that changeup that we talked about at the beginning of the show. It's acts kind of like a split. That one was really going down and away. See if they double up with it. See if they'll offer at the same thing.
2-2. Inside. Now, there's some people that abide by the theory that there's one guy on each team you don't want to beat you. In terms of talking about them not pitching to Chipper, you put him on, I'm putting him on. Let somebody else beat me besides Chipper.
Well, if you do that, you run the risk of bringing Garrett Anderson coming up there and with one swing tying it up. I don't think they want to do that.
Full count, 1 down, runner at second. Lifted high, left side. Reynolds drifting in foul territory, will hold it in as it stays fair, and there are 2 down. That's a big at-bat for Scherzer to get that out right there.
See what they went with here. Fastball and a good spot down and away. Forced Chipper to try to just guard the plate there rather than run the risk of a called third. He got a hot hitter.
94 pitches for Scherzer at this point. This might be their last chance to get at this guy. Garrett Anderson at the plate now. Walked his last time up, singled in the second.
One of the things Scherzer does, though, on his changeup, he tends to telegraph that a little bit. And suddenly, on that follow-through, he did a little stretching and got the attention of their trainer. And he's still stretching, like his bat tightened up and back tightened up, and he was saying to Snyder, I'm okay. But let's see.
Now they're going to have a visit here. Absolutely. Trainer comes out to check him out. Schoenweiss is up in the bullpen for Arizona, so they do have somebody working and ready. Scherzer says he's fine.
Yeah, he wants everybody to leave him alone.
And just as you mentioned, he had stretched out. He did the same exact thing again, and obviously their bench saw the same thing you did and came sprinting out.
There's a tendency to kind of overextend on this changeup when he follows through. What you can see there, the way he turned, he kind of gave some, took the weight off his right foot too, maybe, like he hyperextended it.
Fouled back. Well, he has pitched quite a game to this point. 4 hits. And no runs across for the Braves. There's Scott Schoenweiss, the left-hander. Lifted high, left field. Burns coming in. Drew going out. Drew falling down, makes the grab. And that'll be the last out of the inning. Drew gets a hand up and a big smile. Braves still trail at 3-0 as we head to the 7th inning.
and taste over 60 different beverages from around the world. Make plans to visit the world of Coca-Cola today.
Negative. Welcome back to Turner Field, 3-0 Arizona. Eric Burns, Chad Tracy, Chris Snyder, and then the pitcher's spot due up for Arizona here in the 7th inning as James Parr remains on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. Burns struck out his last time up. He's Chad Tracy. Burns last out last time. 2-0 to Tracy.
Control not typically a problem for James Parr. He only issued 2 walks in his 9 innings.
Avoids the walk, if only momentarily. 3-1 the count. Tracy. So it'll be Tracy, Snyder, and then the pitcher spot. We'll see if Scherzer comes out on deck after this at bat. There's the walk. We don't have to wait long.
And with a runner at first, nobody out, time for tonight's Home Depot know-how question. And it comes from Jackson Sponge Randolph in Sharpsburg, Georgia, who wants to know, with the bases loaded and less than 2 outs, if a batted ball hits the runner on first, he is out. What else happens? Well, Sponge, everybody has to go back to their original base. The batter is credited with a base hit. The runner is out. Batter will go to first base, and everybody returns to their original bases.
And Baseball 101 brought to you by the man in the orange smock.
Well, we've got an original Home Depot Bravo Club tape measure here, Mark, and since you're here tonight, your second game, I just want to know if there's anything you needed measuring.
A pencil?
Sure.
I had to sharpen it again.
Sure. It's a number 2. Imagine that. You got a 5.5 incher there.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
The eraser could use some work, though. We've got plenty of erasers at Home Depot, too.
I don't need mine.
No?
I knew exactly who was coming up to bat here this year.
Sure you did. It was all over that for you. And we got the Home Fix-It guy over here next to us.
I can't get close enough to the camera here to show the eraser. It is
Dave Baker.
A little bit of work.
Dave Baker, the Home Fix-It guy on WSB Radio. He knows all about the Home Depot and what you can get there to fix up your house.
He's got the and he's got the big pointer too, as he was pointing out that Josh Weitzel is in the on-deck circle.
Yes.
So indeed, we will have a pinch hitter for Max Scherzer. Chris Snyder, by the way, at the plate as we measure everything in the booth here this evening.
Good, you're 1 for 3 this inning.
Fewer strikeouts, though, than the Diamondbacks' Mark Reynolds. Snyder flied out his last time up, sacrificing an RBI back in the second. As Parr, the checker, the runner at first.
I have to keep an eye on Baker because this apron could disappear. Kind of had his eye on my apron since I put it on.
I think I'm just going to leave that one alone. Outside, 3-1. So Scherzer goes 6 innings, no runs, 4 hits, struck out 4, 3 walks, and again, as Joe has mentioned a number of times, looking for his first major league win. Back-to-back walks now from James Parr.
A real rarity for him. Weitzel played here last night.
Was 1 for 4 in last night's game. Roger McDowell has a chat with Parr. Randy Marsh, making poor Randy Marsh take a long walk after getting hit in the face there. Weitzel called up from AAA Reno on May 6th, replacing Tony Clark. 25 games for the Aces out there in Reno. Another clever minor league name. He's hitting .356 with 3 homers, 20 RBI with the AAA club. So 2 on, nobody down for Arizona here in the 7th. There's a strike. Cal said something right. Outfield playing Weitzel straight away. Rarely actually see Jordan Schaefer in dead straightaway center field. That's where he is now for Weitzel. One and one. One and two after the fastball for a strike at 89 miles an hour. When you look at the balls and strikes, 16 strikes, 15 balls for Parr. As you mentioned, very uncharacteristic. And that's not going to get done for anyone. Swing and a miss there, though. He goes down on strikes. Does Weitzel, 1 down here in the 7th. Top of the order for Arizona. Felipe Lopez coming up. He struck out his last time out, doubled and scored in the 3rd, grounded out in the 1st. It's one of the situations, too, Joe, where you know they want to add to the lead. Braves probably going to breathe a sigh of relief as they could not handle Scherzer. He leaves. You almost kind of say, okay, let's see what else you got. Maybe we can get to this guy. And you know Arizona would like to get a couple of insurance runs here as they've had 2 on with nobody down and now 1 out.
Yes, they do.
There's the line on Scherzer. Parr again behind, 2-0. Lifted into center field. Schaefer going back at the track, at the wall. He hauls it in. Runners retreat. 2 down. No throw from Kelly Johnson at first base, even though Chris Snyder was doing everything he can to get back in time.
Jordan's certainly gotten his running in tonight, and he made a heads-up play here after Kelly noticed that the first base runner had rounded second. Jordan's throw went to Kelly, and they had thoughts of trying to get the double play at first. Heads up defense.
And you got to say this for Jordan Schaefer. Say what you will about the guy and the way he has struggled at the plate a little bit this year for the Braves. He's done an outstanding job in center field. He's making the plays like that look easy. And I don't know that I recall seeing a center fielder get as much action as Jordan Schaefer has gotten tonight.
He's been busy. Now they want to find out if Chris Snyder retouched at second base. Not sure what this tag at first is for, but the appeal would be at second base if Snyder failed to retouch.
It looked like the second base umpire, he's shrugging Lance Barksdale as if I don't know what you're questioning. I think it almost looked like he said there was no tag.
Well, that would have been the runner Tracy at second, but before that, Snyder had rounded to the third base side of second. to go back to first. He's got to retouch second.
Yep.
And I think that was what the appeal was from the Braves bench.
Obviously, Mr. Barksdale did not see that Snyder had done anything incorrectly, so assume he did touch on his way back. 2 on, 2 out. Parra at the plate. Get another look at Chris Snyder. See, he rounds second, as you said.
No, he touched it.
Yeah, absolutely. Parra lifts one into right center. Nobody's going to get to this one. Schaefer going to get to it first as it bounces off the wall. 1-1 will score. And 2 runs now in as a triple for Gerardo Parra. 5-0 D-backs.
Second triple in as many games and gives him 3 RBIs tonight. You're getting to see why they like this guy so much. As those 2 walks to start the inning come back to haunt James Parr. Picks up his coach, and as we said, he can run a little bit too. An easy triple.
I mentioned earlier 7 stolen bases in the minors, AA, before they called him up.
5-run deficit.
And that brings up Justin Upton. Doesn't get any easier for James Parr. Upton grounded out his last time up. 1-1. Well, for a team that has struggled so much hitting, they hit the ball hard tonight. And not just singles. I mean, a lot of extra base hits.
They have. I was just thinking about James Parr as a guy who has, for the most part in his career, been a starter and hasn't had a ton of work since he's been here, but working out of the stretch exclusively.
The 2-1 pitch up the middle. Kelly Johnson over to first, and that'll get him out of the inning, but not before they do get 2 runs on the 1 triple by Gerardo Parr. 5-0. Diamondbacks lead the Braves. Finish off that stretch and settle in. McCann, Kochman, and Francoeur due up for the Braves here in the 7th to face Scott Schoenweiss. You see his numbers.
Yeah, he's done a good job since coming over. Braves certainly familiar with him and his work with the Mets. He's filled in admirably as a left-handed setup guy.
well-traveled Scott Schoenweiss. You mentioned his work with the Mets, also played with Cincinnati, Toronto, White Sox. I remember him coming up with the Angels. The Angels of Anaheim at the time.
He was in 11 games against the Braves last year while with the Mets. Had a 4 ERA, 4 runs in 9 innings, and a lifetime 1-3 record against the Braves. So they couldn't do anything against Scherzer. Maybe they can do something against the Diamondbacks bullpen.
Again, it's McCann, Kochman, and Francoeur due up here in the 7th. And now it's time to take a look at the Georgia Lottery scorecard, brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day. Brian McCann, why don't you turn it into a day? 0 for 2 as he steps to the plate here in the 7th.
Yeah, he's a better hitter against left-handed pitching than his numbers reflect. Schoenweiss was paired last year in the Mets bullpen with Pedro Feliciano as a setup guy. But part of that Mets bullpen that was
much maligned.
Much maligned would be a good description. And very much overhauled.
And that is lined into center field. Base hit for Brian McCann, trying to prove Joe Simpson correct. That he's a much better hitter against left-handed pitching than his numbers would show.
Funny that Schoenweiss kind of stared at Brian as he was going down the line, almost as if to say, how did you hit that pitch? Slider down and away, and maybe he was right. Brian went down a little off the plate and got that ball and hit it sharply into right center.
And that brings Kochman to the plate, walked and grounded out. You mentioned the Mets. They got that win over the Giants today, and this National League East is getting really interesting. And with New York, what's interesting is they're dealing with injuries now. We talked about the problems the Braves had at the beginning of the season. Delgado's got that hip injury. He's just put on the DL, and that could be serious. They don't know yet, but it could be more serious than just something that keeps him out for a short time. And Reyes has been out as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is with Reyes that's a problem, other than maybe somebody sat on him trying to keep him from running the bases wildly like he did against the Braves.
I think it's 4 games in a row now that he has been out. 3 or 4. Kochman fouls it off. Count stays 0-2.
We'll get some guys on and see if he can't parlay that into a big inning after the Diamondbacks added to their lead here in the top of the 7th.
Mentioned the National League East coming into the day. There's Philadelphia and Atlanta both 2 games behind New York. Philadelphia looking for its 2nd win of the day. Washington 7-6. Second game of the doubleheader. Kochman called 3rd strike and 1 down here in the 7th.
That was a good pitch by Schoenweiss. He had worked him away and away, and then threw a breaking ball right at him, and watch Casey flinch here. Started to back away from the pitch that came in, and he knew that he had given up on what he thought was going to be a ball.
Brings Jeff Francoeur to the plate. Struck out, grounded out. McCann still over at first, hoping that somebody might move him around. First pitch inside.
Diamondbacks bullpen, the last 10 games, a 1-2 record with a high ERA of 5.34. A lot of walks, 16 in 32 innings.
Again inside, 2-0. After Francoeur is Schaefer, and then the pitcher's spot is due up. Imagine that should the Braves extend the inning, we might see somebody for James Parr. Francoeur takes it to right, but right at Upton. 2 down.
Well, I know it's an out, but that was such a good approach and a good swing that hopefully that gets Jeff back to what he was doing the first 5 weeks of the season. Stayed back nicely and drove down and through that pitch. Didn't try to do too much with it, and really stung it, but right at the right fielder. That's some tough luck.
That brings up Jordan Schaefer. Grounded up the middle, off the glove of Schulweiss. Everybody's safe. And let's see who we get. Looks like Martin Prado will come to the plate for the Braves.
Base hit for Schaefer. He'll take all those that he can get. Might have been destined for center field anyway. And Schulweiss not slowed it down.
And you know, as much as he had struggled, he's hitting balls hard. He came up with a big hit last night. Now you get one off the glove of the pitcher. Things start going your way, and you start feeling a lot of it's confidence. And talking to Terry Pendleton, he said that's where he really needs to get in right now. It's not as much mechanics. It's getting his head right and getting him not to press too much when he's at the plate. Try and force everything. Just relax and do what you know how to do. And Martin Prado's going to get to do what he knows how to do against another pitcher. We're going to have a pitching change here as A.J. Hinch comes to the mound. Arizona Diamondbacks, Juan Gutierrez on now for Arizona.
See his numbers for the year. His last time out, not a good one against the Reds at home. A third of an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs, a walk. He also recorded a strikeout. Reds could use a hit with a runner in scoring position. Shut out tonight. They're 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position so far. Some good news. We showed you that Piedmont report a little earlier that included Jorge Campillo. He, in fact, tonight pitched at Mississippi on a rehab assignment and worked 2 good innings. 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts through 25 pitches, 18 of which were strikes. So he's on the road back.
Martin Prado works his way into the batter's box for the Braves. With 2 down and 2 on. Facing Juan Gutierrez. Big boy, the 25-year-old, 93 miles an hour in his first offering. Here's a nice memory for Martin Prado.
12th inning game winner at Citi Field on Wednesday. Smoked.
Lifts this one high into center field, but Parra's got a beat on it, and that's going to do it. So nothing doing for the Braves in the 7th. They put 2 runners on, but can't push any across. It's still 5-0.
third. He gets tagged out. Bunnell ran down the third base line, tried to get back. He got tagged out. Chipper was a dead duck. But despite all this, you always know that the sensation salad is back at Zaxby's, a flavor so unique it demanded an encore. First and third, one out. Full count on Garrett Anderson. It turned into a double play without the ball being put in play.
And maybe more importantly, set the tone for the game for the Braves. You get a couple of runs on in the first, you put the other team on their heels, and the whole complexion, as you say, can change. Jeff Bennett on to pitch for the Bravos now here in the 8th. He will face Drew, Reynolds, and Burns. Stephen Drew reached on an error last time up, 0 for 3.
Jeff Bennett has worked 16 1/3 innings, but he has had a ton of base runners. His ERA is at 2.20, and the league's hitting .373 against him. 16 1/3 innings, 36 base runners.
Lifted straight away center field. Schaefer was playing a little deeper than usual. Only has to trot back a few steps to haul it in, one down. That was well hit, though. That brings up. Oh, you got the counter going? Mark Reynolds.
Yeah, a couple more tonight.
2 strikeouts in the game. 47. Is it 47?
47.
He might hit that 52 tonight before you know. He might get this one going.
Yeah. He has taken over the lead from Jordan Schaefer.
Bennett gets this one across, 1-1. I mentioned earlier it was kind of a strange night. Braves just never really seem to get any kind of momentum going tonight. That Zaxby's sensational play. Let's put the Z's above the cartoon character heads of the Braves, you know, just never seem to have any life to them offensively.
And if you score in the first and you put Scherzer under the gun a little bit, he might have pitched a lot differently too. But he got 2 runs to work with right after that, and got another run in the 3rd inning, and was never headed while he was in there. Kept gaining confidence.
Still 6 outs left for the Braves. Jeff Bennett just swing and a miss from Reynolds there. Count goes full with 1 down here in the 8th. Bennett working relatively quickly, misses up and in there, and we've got another runner on.
The 2 walks to start the 7th inning came back to haunt James Parr. So you don't want to keep putting runners on base, and you got to be mindful too that on Tuesday, when Medlin is activated, somebody's got to go.
Right. All right, happy birthday from the Braves. Right now, when you register at Braves.com/birthday, you get a free birthday ticket to a Braves game of your choice. That's Braves.com/birthday for your free ticket. A free ticket does not have to be used on your birthday.
Right.
They don't check your ID when you walk through the gate. I'm sorry, sir.
Only in the chop house.
That's right. Eric Burns at the plate. For the walk. And over for a strike. 94 miles an hour, 0-1. Grounded up the middle. Bennett going to go to first for the easy out, 2 down. I say easy as the word comes out of my mouth. Kochman has to reach down at his shoelaces to pick it out of the dirt, but nonetheless, 2 down.
Not sure where Brian McCann was instructing him to throw the ball, but it appeared that he was going to first base all the way after the high chopper. You figure you're not going to have a chance to get the lead runner. Smart choice.
That brings up Chad Tracy. Walked and scored his last time up. So the runner now in scoring position with 2 down here. A little bit of pop on Bennett's ball. He throws the ball hard. No problem with his velocity. They're actually going to go ahead and put Tracy on here as Brian McCann stands up and calls for the pitch outside. Choose to face the catcher and the right-hander Snyder instead.
Got a good pitching matchup tomorrow for the 3rd game of this series. Derek Lowe will be going for his 6th win. He's 5-1. And John Garland, who signed on with the Diamondbacks over the offseason, is 3-2. He'll be making his 8th start. Good right-handed pitcher.
And indeed, here comes Snyder to face Bennett, now with 2 on. So a number of things working in your favor to make that move, I guess. You set up the force play at any base. You got the righty-righty situation.
And catcher speed running in case somebody has to go in the hole to get one. And always good to get strike 1.
Snyder walked and scored his last time up. Sacrifice fly, RBI in the 2nd, flied out in the 4th as well. Takes that one inside, 1-1. Thinking about the next half for the Braves. Top of the order will come up. Johnson, Escobar, and Chipper. As they have their work cut out for them, trailing 5-0 here in the 8th.
But can't give up any more.
That one misses outside. 3-1. Ball 4. Not what Bobby Cox had in mind when he walked Chad Tracy, that is for sure.
Again, it just, Jeff has been having to really labor with so many base runners.
Well, with the pitcher's spot due up next, looks like Montero will hit. For the Diamondbacks.
1 for 4 is a pinch hitter.
Miguel Montero. 240 on the season. 2 homers, 5 RBIs. And he's got the bases loaded. He swing at ball 1 there?
He might have, but again, Bennett got ahead of Chris Snyder with a quick fastball strike and then walked him.
Wonder what the thought process is. You come up as a pinch hitter and the guy's struggling and he just walked somebody. You'd think he would have been taken on that first one.
Look out. That almost got Felipe Lopez. No way he could have gotten out of the way of that because he's not anywhere near the on-deck circle. Pinch hitters don't like going up and taking. They are sent up there to hit. They like going up there hacking away.
Oh, he's in the hole 0-2.
Yeah.
A couple hacks. A hack and a half, really, I guess.
Yeah. Almost got a hack on Lopez.
There's that one inside and in the dirt.
Stopped by Brian McCann.
And gets the dirt out of the glove and he's ready to go again. Fouled back. Reynolds at third. Chad Tracy at second after an intentional walk. And then an unintentional walk to Chris Snyder. He stands at first.
And with the bases loaded, as much as he's struggling with his control, it's hard to even waste a pitch, which they'd like to do here.
Just high, 2-2.
You're firing a series of strikes. That's a different animal altogether when you can waste one, hoping the hitter will chase one and get you out of the inning.
Montero's having a good at bat here. He said he's going to go up swinging. He's putting the bat on the ball.
It looks like he's trying to hit the ball, at least in part, trying to protect the plate, but looks like anyway, he's trying to go to left center field.
Jordan Schaefer playing a couple steps in and a little bit towards, a couple steps towards left center. That one misses inside. No place to put him now, Jeff.
He's not missing by fractions. When he does throw a strike, they're getting good hacks at him, and when he misses, he's missing so far off the plate that the hitter's not off
him. Ball 4. And it walks in a run, 6-0. D-backs.
And remember, he walked in a run for the game winner for the Mets on Tuesday night.
It brings up the top of the lineup for the Deep Diamondbacks, and Roger McDowell hangs up the phone and jogs to the mound. Give his bullpen some time to get up and get busy. Buddy Carlisle working the right-hander for the Braves. We'll give him a little bit of time. I imagine we're going to need to have Randy Marsh take a walk before this thing breaks up. Well, the other thing you talked about, Joe, talked about it at the onset here tonight. Really hopeful that the Braves wouldn't have to give their bullpen too much work tonight. It's getting a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. Buddy Carlisle, for the second time tonight, heating up in a hurry. That's 40 base runners now for Jeff Bennett in 17 innings of work.
The base is still loaded. Reynolds jogged in and scored on the walk to Montero, who now stands at first. Snyder is at second and Chad Tracy at third. There are 2 out. One misses inside. Ground ball up the middle. Escobar steps on second, and indeed Bennett does get out of it, but not before he walks in a run. 6-0 in the bottom half of the inning for the Braves. Top of the order, Johnson, Escobar, and Jones. Welcome back to Turner Field. The Braves desperate to get something going. 6 hits. That number matches Arizona's total, but 6 runs across for the Diamondbacks. And nothing across thus far for the Braves. Kelly Johnson, Yunel Escobar, and Chipper Jones due up here in the bottom of the 8th, and they've got a new arm on the mound for the D-backs.
And you can see that Vasquez, 7 walks, 9 strikeouts in his 10 innings. So he's putting a lot of runners on base himself. His last outing, not a good one against the Cincinnati Reds. An inning and a third, 2 hits and 2 runs allowed. So the Braves trail by 6 now. Got their work cut out for them, as you said, Mark. Top of the order to try to get something started.
Against the 25-year-old out of the Dominican Republic, 6'1". Looks like, call it 170 pounds. Looks like he's that much maybe soaking wet. Kelly Johnson flied out to right his last time up. 0 for 3 on the night. Lifts the first pitch high down the left field line. Reynolds going back. Drew coming over. He'll make another nice grab on the run into the outfield. 1 down.
Stephen Drew's a good player. Folks at home, if you haven't seen him play before out of Hayhira, Georgia, at Florida State University, and a #1 draft pick for the Diamondbacks, he can do a lot of things to help you win, including play a little defense. He was on the DL with a bad hamstring. They just got him back and certainly missed him.
He had the nice grab on Anderson back in the 6th, falling down as he caught it running into left field. You know, Escobar at the plate now. Doubled and was stranded last time up in the 6th. First pitch over for a strike.
Last night, Pena came in throwing very hard, as high as 98 miles an hour, and the Braves peppered him for some hits. In fact, handed in the loss in the 9th inning on that sacrifice fly by Escobar. This guy's come in throwing 94, 95, 96. He was their minor league pitcher of the year 2 years ago. So a highly touted prospect, Esmeralyn Vasquez.
The 1-1 from Vasquez to Escobar. Fouled and out of play.
And it goes to some of the decision, I'm sure, that led the Diamondbacks brass to hire A.J. Hinch as their manager, name him their manager, because he knows their minor league system so well, having been part of their player development. And he's smart doing what he's doing right there. If you're spending a lot of time working with your minor leagues and your own player development, you don't get a chance to do much scouting of other teams.
This one lifted, foul territory, will go out of play.
So you better rely on your coaches.
Talking to Kirk Gibson there.
Yes, he is. Rely on your coaches and talk to those guys about the teams and ask questions. Don't be shy about asking something you don't know about a certain player. Trying to check the scouting reports on players that you're not familiar with. How you want to pitch them. What are their tendencies? Because when you're spending so much time in the minor leagues, you don't know those answers.
1-2 the count now to Escobar. Grounded left side. Reynolds charging. Scoops it in. Throws to first. He got him. 2 down. And that brings up Chipper with 2 outs here in the 8th. Braves running out of outs. In this situation, too, of bringing Vasquez in, you mentioned he had struggled. This is a situation you're up 6-0. You're trying to build the guy's confidence. You've got a nice, comfortable lead. Let's get him out there and see if we can't get him a few outs and get him back headed in the right direction.
He's certainly got a big arm.
Chipper fouls the first one back.
There was a story online a couple of days ago about this being a golden era for third baseman in a position that has so few members of the Hall of Fame. But you think about third baseman around baseball in both leagues, it's an impressive list. about the National League East alone. Ryan
Right.
Zimmerman, David Wright, Chipper Jones. And then you go to the American League. There are others. You can start with Alex Rodriguez, who is a converted shortstop. Evan Longoria. There are tremendous third basemen in the game right now. Matt Williams, a former great.
He nods. As you mentioned, he's a
Glad he
former great.
agreed.
Absolutely. Off-speed pitch there, 86 miles an hour. Chipper swings through it. Chipper, the elder statesman of that class, I guess you could say.
Yes.
But still got some years left in him. Of course, the new contract guaranteeing he's going to be a Brave for a little while longer. Takes that one away. I think a lot of folks were worried about Chipper in terms of how much longer he would be able to play because he struggled with injuries in recent years, and well, he just wants to stay healthy, get his at-bats.
Mostly leg problems and the oblique issues.
The 2-2 lined into right, base hit. Braves, a little something started with 2 down here in the 8th.
That's a swing like he had last night that I referred to as the reason why he still hits 300 and other guys don't. Guys that are so-called power hitters that try to match his numbers, but he won a batting title by getting hits like this on tough pitches. That one was down and away, but he kind of combed that one into right field.
And Garrett Anderson comes to the plate now. 1 for 2 and walked. Puts this one high and out of play. And Chipper said, you know, we're talking about the injuries, you talk about the batting title. He said he didn't think he would have won the batting title had he been fully healthy. That he wants to drive the ball more this season. He had to become more of a singles hitter last year, but I guess you also, even at this stage of his career, learn from that, and he can go back to that when he needs to, as he did right there.
Yeah, and I think that is dependent a lot, Mark, on how many guys are getting on base in front of him.
Sure.
If Escobar continues to hit with a high average, he won't have to think about hitting for a high average. Talking about Chipper, he can drive the ball more. If Kelly Johnson or Omar Infante or whomever is leading off is getting on base, he can think about driving the ball more.
And of course, if the guys behind him are hitting and he's seeing pitches, we talked about how much he's walked this season, has not seen a lot of pitches.
And that will continue as the season goes on.
0-2 the count to Anderson with Chipper at first. Grounded right side. Tracy up with it, and he will step on the bag, and that will do it. So Chipper with the hit, but Braves cannot put anything across again in the 8th. Still 6-0. Diamondbacks lead the Braves.
Pick Julia Roberts. Ocean's 11, Sunday at 8 on Peachtree TV.
6-0. Arizona up on the Atlanta Braves as we go to the 9th inning. Double switch for the Braves here. Matt Diaz goes out into left field. He will hit in the pitcher's spot, and Buddy Carlisle is the new pitcher for the Atlanta Braves.
Buddy Carlisle last worked on Wednesday in New York. 2 innings, gave up a hit and a run, walked a couple, struck out 2.
We'll face Parra, Upton, and Drew here in the 9th inning. First offering over for a strike. You know, one thing I was going to ask you, we're approaching the quarter pole, to use a horse racing term for you today, day of the Preakness.
Loved it.
Tap left side, chipper, going to barehand it over to first, not in time. Runner on. So as quarter pole of the season, surprises for you thus far this year. I would say Texas Rangers are the biggest surprise for me. 7 games over 500 at the start of the year. A team that struggled so much with pitching. A lot of folks thinking that ballpark has a lot to do with that, and they've been the biggest surprise for me. Anything that jumps out at you?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto 10 games over 500. I really thought they were decimated by losses to their pitching staff especially. But Cito Gaston working his magic again. He does a great job. Did a wonderful job for Toronto in the second half of last season.
Yep.
But I'm with you on Texas. I'm happy for Ron Washington. Don't think he gets enough credit for the job he's doing there managing that club.
They've kind of got they've established a nice management staff overall. You look at Nolan Ryan has gone in there, and he brings in Mike Maddox as the pitching coach now from Milwaukee, as Upton takes it away. The count goes 2-1 to him. And you need, you got pitchers there, right? You got Maddox, and you got Ryan, and they got to do something. That they've just always struggled with getting guys who could do the job on the mound.
And Kevin Millwood's been kind of challenged by Nolan Ryan to take the reins, be the ace, be the guy. And certainly under the tutelage of Nolan Ryan and Mike Maddox, Kevin's capable of doing that.
No one misses outside. Count goes full to Upton. And so many guys have left Texas and done well elsewhere, giving credence to the theory that ballpark might be next to impossible to pitch in. But they had good teams. They had playoff teams in the early years at that point.
Well, they've got an offensive juggernaut right now.
Lifted high to center field. Schaefer running again at the wall. Not going to get to it off the wall. Upton into second. They hold Parra up at third, so runners at second and third here with nobody out, and yet another pitcher for the Braves struggling tonight.
Yeah, the bullpen has had a hard time tonight. And Upton thought this was out of the ballpark. You could see him walking out of the box, and then all of a sudden he had to turn on the jets and went in hard into second base with a head-first slide just to keep from being embarrassed.
6 extra base hits tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they're going to put another runner on intentionally in the form of Stephen Drew. As Mark Reynolds waits on deck. Just one of those nights for the Braves. Kind of game you want to just forget about. Both sides of it. Of course, they took game 1 of the series last night. And as Joe mentioned a little bit earlier, nice pitching matchup tomorrow. And when you have a rough one, always nice to have Derek Lowe go out on the mound for you the next night to try and right the ship.
It is a nice thing to fall back on. The infield's playing in, except for Chipper. He's still back at third base. Respecting Mark Reynolds, I would say here.
Respecting him, but still a possibility he could come home from there?
Yeah.
Kochman in really tight at first.
But Parr, Bennett, and Buddy Carlisle, all three struggling tonight. And unless Buddy can come up with some Houdini act here. Trouble.
Fouled off. He is ahead on Mark Reynolds here.
It's almost like the good news is Mark Reynolds is up there because he strikes out so much, and a strikeout would be huge here. The bad news is Mark Reynolds is up there, and he's got a lot of pop in his bat. If you make a mistake, it won't be 6-0 anymore.
Diaz playing deep and left. Schaefer playing his usual spot in center field. A little bit shallow, straight away. Francoeur in a little tight and right. One-two, fouled back.
Late swing too. He just barely got a piece of that. Checking the end of his bat to make sure it didn't chip.
Mentioned the 6 extra base hits for Arizona. The 2 triples, a season high for a game. They have had 8 extra base hits twice. Still 1-2 to Reynolds. Again, we'll look ahead for the Braves. In the 9th, McCann, Kochman, and Francoeur due up.
In the National League, Mark, Milwaukee's been a nice story because losing C.C. Sabathia and Ben Sheets, everybody figured they would just sink to the bottom of the Central Division too, but they haven't. They're in fact at the top, tied with the Cardinals. They've won 3 in a row and 8 out of 10.
And feeding off of that, you mentioned Toronto, and then you mentioned Sabathia. I think another surprise is how difficult things have been for the New York Yankees as Reynolds fouls that one back. They, I think a lot of folks just thought with that pitching staff, with going after those 2 guys and had it coming back, that they would really have an easy time of it. We see Reynolds fighting that one off. They've struggled.
They had the same record as the Braves coming into the game tonight. 4.5 back at Toronto.
And while the Braves overhauled their pitching staff a little bit, they did not do it in the same manner in which the Yankees did, spending the money they did and bringing in those 2 big name free agents.
And don't forget that the Braves made a full court press on A.J. Burnett before they ever approached Derek Lowe. So,
and if I remember
think that's
reading
worked out all right
correctly, Burnett was more a lifestyle thing for him and had nothing to do with the money or anything against the Atlanta Braves.
Holy smokes.
Wow. So the guy who strikes out all the time gets a walk from Carlisle, and another run comes across. 7-0 Diamondbacks now with the lead on a night to forget for the Atlanta Braves pitching staff.
That's a stern jaw you're looking at there.
Upton now at third. Stephen Drew at second. Mark Reynolds standing at first as Eric Burns comes to the plate. Grounded out his last time up. Doubled and scored in the second. 2 strikeouts in between. Grounded up the middle, base hit. That'll get 1 run in. They'll hold up Drew at third base.
Smart coaching. Smart coaching there. They get the run on the base hit by Burns, his second RBI of the night. But remember that Stephen Drew is coming off the disabled list with a bad hamstring. They've already got an 8-0 lead, and Chip Hale wisely holds him at third base and says, you know what, we don't need that run so bad right now. Take it easy.
Chad Tracy comes to the plate. Fouls one back. Intentionally walked his last time up, and then of course was followed with a walk to Chris Snyder, which walked in a run. And Carlisle gets ahead 0-2. Still nobody down. We're in the top of the 9th. D-backs got 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and now 2 in the 9th. They got a good pitching performance from Max Scherzer, who's, barring something really dramatic in the bottom half of this inning, will get his first major league win after really doing a very good job at the end of last season and beginning of this season. I know the guy was overdue for a win. Just
yeah, no
fans
question. He was
kind of don't want him to get it here tonight.
Their version of JoJo Reyes.
This one lifted high behind third base. Escobar over to call off Chipper and make the play. You notice the shifting of the infielders. Kelly Johnson all the way over to third to make sure nobody wants to go anywhere. Kochman over to second.
Play by Unell to take charge there. Tough play for Chipper running straight back. And a much better angle for Escobar coming to the line.
Very similar to the play Drew made last half inning.
Chipper still not sure he was covering up.
Catcher Chris Snyder at the plate. Takes the first pitch for a strike. Again, he walked last time up. 2 walks for him in the game. 0 for 1. Flied out in the 4th and the sac fly back in the 2nd. Takes that one inside. So did we run through our list of surprises? We get all our surprises out of the way. It makes for a fun season though when not everything goes as planned. You see some teams that you don't expect to do well have a good season, or at least get off to a good start. Seattle's another one that's played better than some people thought they would.
Kansas City getting some good pitching. Trey Hillman doing a good job managing that club. Another bit of a surprise. He was managing in Japan when he was brought over.
Grounded foul.
That was unconventional and seems to be working out for the Royals.
Of course, Zach Greinke, the talk of the season thus far. SI cover boy. And it was nice for baseball to have a story like that on the cover. Of course, the latest cover not as enjoyable for Major League Baseball. The other big story of the season, I guess, Manny Ramirez and the 50-game suspension. That one misses outside, 3-2.
Chance for everybody in the West to
I was going to say,
figure out a way to catch up.
Talk about these D-backs trying to get back into things. I guess if there's a division to be in where you can maybe make up some ground, that would be the division it would be. Lifted high and deep to left field. Schaefer going back at the wall. Gone. Wow. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the catcher Chris Snyder with a grand slam. A lot of hands to slap for Snyder at home plate. 12-0 now, Arizona. And that'll bring up Chris Young to pinch hit for the pitcher. Young played last night. Probably thought he'd have the whole night off tonight, but they might get everybody in this game before it's done. Come into this series talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks, last in the National League in multiple offensive categories. And somehow they seem to all turn it around tonight against the Atlanta Braves. 2-2 now to Young. He lifts one way high in the infield. Escobar under it for the second out of the inning. Things were going so well for the Braves. 6-2 on that road trip. 3 straight series wins, which they hadn't done since 2007. Of course, came out and had that dramatic victory last night in the bottom of the 9th. I think this is probably the last thing anybody expected out of the Braves tonight. One and one to Felipe Lopez as the 9th hitter of the inning is up at the plate for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 6 across here in the 9th. Fouled off 1-2. Carlisle being left out to clean up the mess. 2 outs, nothing doing in the bullpen for the Braves. That's a base hit into center field. Jordan Schaefer yet again sprints to his right to pick up the baseball.
42 pitches in the inning.
Gerardo Parra will make his way up to home plate for the second time this inning. Infield hit, scored.
Well, maybe they get them all out of their system tonight. Day game tomorrow.
Lifted into center field. Schaefer trots in and finally hauls it in, but not before 6 more runs across for the D-backs. Braves got a lot of work to do with just 3 outs left. We'll be back on Peachtree TV. At least get a souvenir out of this thing before it's over.
Victories, but just getting a little work in here tonight to stay sharp.
And the first batter he will face will be a pinch hitter for the Braves, David Ross. Is this a situation, Joe, where You want to get your starters out of there for Bobby Cox. Let somebody else get in that bat. I don't need him to be any more of a mess than this game is.
I wouldn't call it a mess. I would just say to try to keep some of your hitters sharp, get them in at bat.
Okay.
In a runaway, just in case you need them tomorrow, need them to be sharp, run them out there.
Kent's got the fog going on the left eye there, doesn't he?
It's a foggy, foggy dew.
Ross fouls one back. Ross got a lot of attention and credit, and deservedly so, for doing a really good job in Brian McCann's stead while he dealt with his eye issue.
Outstanding job at the plate and behind the plate. Very good defensive player. And a good pickup for the Braves in the offseason. Good sign by Frank Wren there.
There was already a lot of talk coming into the season about how strong the Braves bench was, and this is another guy to add to that now that folks weren't even thinking about when they were talking about the strength of the bench.
I think their bench rivals anybody in baseball. Their versatility and defense.
Swing and a miss from Ross there, one down. Yeah, you got Prado, Infante, Norton, who's a quality bat as well off the bench. Now Ross.
If there's one thing that I would say they need, it's a defensive outfielder. They need a guy in close games that can go in and spell Diaz and Garrett Anderson on occasion. You know, that so-called defensive replacement. And a guy who can ideally maybe give Jordan Schaefer a day off too. Probably a right-handed hitter who can spell him once in a while too.
Take a look at Frank Wren, maybe something he can put on his to-do list.
Well, I applaud Frank and Bobby because already on their to-do list they've brought up Chris Medlin, who will pitch on Tuesday to try to shore up that number 5 spot in the rotation pending the health and recovery of Tom Glavine and when he's ready.
Braves down to their last out. Jeff Francoeur will come to the plate. 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out, grounded out, flied out.
And really hit the ball hard his last time up.
That flied out really doesn't accurately describe that at bat. Only lined out to Upton and right. Rips the first offering hard again, but foul. How quickly do big leaguers get over a game like this, Joe? Is it easy for them to snap out of it?
Yeah.
Just one of those nights.
Yeah, one of those nights. It's a horrible night. It's been a bad game. Braves have been shut out, so they never were even threatening tonight. Had a couple of guys on in the first inning before that base running fiasco, but this is an easy one to write off, Mark.
Easier than losing by a run.
Or booting one and making a mistake of some kind late in the game that costs you one that you lose sleep over. Not tonight.
2-1 to Francoeur. And that guy has seen enough to know to be able to deal with it. Bobby Cox. Won't take him long to forget about it. Of course, as you mentioned, they're right back at it tomorrow. The day game. Swings through that. 2-2.
Saw Derek Lowe down in the dugout still for the team. He's pitching tomorrow. And a lot of times a guy might leave the ballpark early on a night like tonight to go home and get a full night's rest before the day games start. But he's still here with his teammates.
2-2. Grounded left side. Drew charges, throws, and that will do it. It finally comes to an end, 12-0. The Diamondbacks win Game 2 of the series over the Braves, even it up at 1 game apiece. We'll be back to wrap this thing up after a timeout.